welcome. It is another beautiful day in paradise. Public Works Committee, it is June 24th. It's 4 o'clock, and my colleagues, Ms. Miller and Mr. English, are here. And first up is Chris Bosley, City Engineer. Talk to us.
Good afternoon, thank you. This one should be a pretty easy one. Our Streets and Engineering Department a couple years ago had gone through doing ADA improvements to Kathleen Avenue from Ramsey Road to US 95, with the exception of the last couple approaches that were close to 95 because the ITD is doing their fast lane grant coming through and making intersection improvements. Well, we found out that the easternmost approach to this 505 Kathleen Avenue, which is on the north side here, that approach was not going to be replaced by ITD. So I approached Glacier 505 Kathleen, which is Parkwood Business Properties, about this and said, could we just remove that approach because it's not in a good place, and we could replace it with just sidewalk to make it ADA accessible, and then we wouldn't have those turn conflicts happening at that location. They understand the safety improvements that would come from that. They're in the middle of getting new property owners into that location. So what they wanted from us was an MOU that stated that we would allow them a new approach at another location that was acceptable to all of us, which would, as we talked, would likely be down here towards this end. They might move that one over to here and then put another one down here, but what they wanted was 2 points of access. And I didn't see any problem with that, but they just wanted something in writing so that they could move forward with confidence, knowing that they weren't going to lose an approach and not get one back. So I'm just asking for approval of this MOU.
Okay. Questions, Kiki?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
No. So look for a motion.
I'd make a motion that council approve the memorandum of understanding with Glacier 505 Kathleen LLC for a future driveway approach.
Second.
Second, moved and second. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Consent calendar, please. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Next up, our favorite guy, Tim Martin from the streets. Are we talking streets, Timmy?
Favorite guy. I like that.
Well, favorite guy from the streets department. Come on.
So I
He's our favorite engineer.
let you know that the road construction season is upon us, and this is a slide showing our crews out doing some crack seal. This was last year, but anyway, today I'm here looking for approval for this year's 2019 chip seal project. I must confess, there's a mistake in your staff report. This company is Road Products Incorporated, not Rock Products. It's out of Spokane, Washington, was the low responsive bid. This year, we've targeted a couple arterials and 2 residential areas, and if I could go through this. First, I want to spend a couple minutes. I was talking to a council member about road surveying. This is what we use to get out. This is a company that we've contracted with for the software when we go out and do RPI ratings on our streets. This is the 3rd year that we've done this, and over time you can see that your roads basically are, good to very good, kind of right in the middle of everything that we've surveyed so far. I believe we're at about, last time I talked to Kim about it, we're at about 65 to almost 70% rated throughout the whole city. But this kind of gives you an idea of, we're right around 67% PCI rating, which is very good. We've got a lot of areas that are below that and some that are brand new. So you're gonna see some of this. And over time, you know, later slide I'll show you, but we've got Ramsey Road out there we're looking at. And, you know, this is kind of a bell curve of Ramsey Road, you know, the 3 separate sections. You know, one was done in 2005, one was rated in 2000, finished in 2006, and then the other one was 2002. So those roads, you know, those road pieces are 17 to 18 years old without anything other than maintenance on it. So we've got it out there to do an overlay on it here soon. But for this year's chip seal, we're going to do Hanley Road from Ramsey to Corsellis roundabout, around Corsellis on the park, and then down to Dalton at Stafford. Stafford, if you remember a few years ago, we overlaid Dalton from, where was, just outside of Pine Grove to Stafford. And this year we're going to tie it in. Another section we picked was Celtis Way. Celtis Way from beginning of the new asphalt from the project being completed now to the intersection of Ironwood and Celtis. Another one that we're doing this year is 15th Street from Best Avenue to Shattuck, including Elderberry Circle and 12th Street. And then we're going to continue from Shattuck to 15th from Shattuck to Dalton. All the arterials will receive another 1/2-inch chip with a 3/8 chip on top. You know, we like what we've seen on Ironwood, and we think that that gives us a better bang for our dollar. So with that today, we're looking for approval to award the contract to Road Products Incorporated.
Dan,
With that,
questions?
any questions?
You know, we've done this before and that, you know, all of those areas, you know, I drive them, and so I'm sure that'll be a good geek.
Just one thing, Tim, does this cooperative agreement with Dalton take over exactly where we leave off at Dalton? Or is it just elsewhere within Dalton?
It's elsewhere within Dalton.
Okay,
They pick their own. I believe their engineer firm, Welch Comer, puts together their RPI ratings for them and chooses street sections.
okay.
So I have a couple questions. Rock Products, have we used them before?
No, we have not.
This is their first try for us. It's going to be the same setup as you did on Ironwood, that thicker gets,
It'll be a 1/2-inch chip, and then they'll come back in a week and put the 3/8 chip on top of the half
and then a fog, right, to make it dark.
seal.
How about the prep? Those are the things that you told me we learned on Government Way. Are we prepping these, or is that part of the,
No, we are prepping them.
you feel comfortable with that?
Mm-hmm.
The other question, does a 5-year cut plan come into these, so nobody can go in there, sewer, water, and dig it out and cut it up after we get it done?
We work internally with water and wastewater. We all look at the plan. As you see here, you know, we sat down and we've kind of visioned out the next 4 years after this year, the Hoffman, Pine Hills, Ramsey Road, Riverstone, Gibbs Hills area, and the boulevard from the bridge deck down to Hubbard, and Government Way, Kathleen to Wilbur. We'll work internally with the other utilities to, you know, try to prepare them ahead of time so they can get in and do Yardley pipe replacements or CIPPs or whatever. The challenge is some, you know, we can't stop progress. I mean, people are gonna put gas lines in, people are gonna put fiber in the ground. Federal law requires, if you're pushing boring into the road base itself, that you have to pothole over the utilities, you know, to make sure that you know their depths. So I would rather see them do that, you know, that's why we're doing a lot of chip, besides it's a good value to us. And to be able to save our roads at this time, give them extra life. It's probably not as critical to pothole a chip sealed area as it would, you know, you don't want to tear up a nice overlay, but we're working with everybody we can. Avista, we get Avista to the table. We all sit down a couple times a year and talk about projects.
So where does, so this looks awesome, that you can get this much done for that much. How about, when you talk about Ramsey in the future, is that maybe next year, or is it a couple years out?
We're looking 2 years out.
2 years.
We've got some maintenance that we'd like to do to that road prior to that. It's gonna be a little trickier because of the grade of that road. It, you know, it all grades to the center, to those swales, that you're almost gonna have to do a 2 or 3 inch in-depth grind the full road width. So it's gonna be, so you can't get a crown or you can't trap that water. So it's gonna be a little more expensive to do like a Ramsey than it would, you know, a Hanley.
Looks awesome. So you got about 190,000 left to kind of keep working on those things, the little projects here
Well,
and there, right?
Yes and no. I mean, we, out of this overlay plan, we buy all the permanent pavement markings. Kim, we help, the crack seal, we purchased the crack seal. This year, we're gonna go in and internally lift about 1.5 blocks of Canfield off of Ramsey Road to the west and pave that back in internally. That's gonna be about 40,000 to do that.
I appreciate what you guys do. This is big.
Yeah.
Getting some chip seal. We're gonna like chip seal. I can feel it coming. If there's no other questions, look for a motion.
Well, I would make a motion that council approve the low bid and award the contract of the 2019 chip seal project to Road Products, Inc.
Second.
Moved and second. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Tim. How about consent for that? You don't have to get up again. Thanks, you guys. Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, folks. Thanks, everybody.